The water was calm that morning, until I heard a heartbeat that did not belong to the sea. My name doesn't translate into human language. In the ocean, we don't have names the way you do. We have signatures, sound patterns unique to each of us, whistles and clicks that say, "This is me. I am here. I exist." But for the purpose of this story, you can call me Echo, because that's what I do. I send sound into the world and listen for what comes back. I read the ocean through echoes, through the way sound bends and reflects, and tells me stories about everything it touches. I live in the warm waters of Boca Ciega Bay, near St. Petersburg, Florida. It's a good place for dolphins. The Gulf of Mexico is gentle here, not like the wild Atlantic or the deep Pacific. Here the water is shallow and warm, full of mullet and pinfish, protected by barrier islands that break the worst of the storms. My pod is small, 7 of us. My mother, who is old and wise and knows these waters better than the tides themselves. My sister, who is playful and curious and always getting into trouble. 3 males who patrol the edges of our territory, and 2 young ones barely a year old, still learning how to hunt, how to navigate, how to speak properly in our language of clicks and whistles. We are family, not in the human sense, with houses and separate lives, but in the truest sense. We eat together, sleep together, protect each other. When one of us is hurt, we all carry them to the surface to breathe. When one of us finds food, we all share. We are one organism split into 7 bodies. The ocean is our world. But it's not silent the way humans think. It's full of sound. The constant background hum of shrimp snapping their claws, the low-frequency moans of distant ships, the splash of pelicans diving for fish, the whoosh of our own breathing when we surface, the clicks and whistles of our conversations, and beneath all of that, if you listen carefully enough, you can hear the heartbeat of the ocean itself, the rhythm of the tides, the pulse of life moving through the water like blood through veins. I know this world through echolocation. I send out clicks, rapid bursts of sound, and I listen to what returns. The echoes tell me everything: the shape of the seafloor, the size and speed of fish, the texture of objects, whether something is alive or dead, afraid or calm, friend or threat. Humans see the world through light. I see it through sound. And in many ways, sound tells more truth than light ever could. That morning in October 2003 started like any other. We woke with the sun rising to the surface to breathe, feeling the warmth begin to chase away the cool of night. The water was still, clear, perfect conditions for hunting. We moved as a group toward our usual fishing grounds near the mangroves, where small fish hide in the roots and we can trap them against the shore. My sister was chattering excitedly about a school of mullet she'd found the day before. The young ones were practicing their clicks, learning how to focus sound into tight beams that could stun prey. Everything was normal. Everything was as it should be. Then I heard it. A sound that didn't fit, coming from the direction of the canal that cuts inland where humans have their houses and docks and boats. It was irregular, splashing, but not the clean splash of a fish jumping or a bird diving. This was panicked, desperate, the sound of something fighting against the water rather than moving with it. I stopped swimming, tilted my head, focused my clicks toward the sound. My mother noticed. "What is it?" "I don't know. Something in the canal. Something struggling. Probably a fish caught in the shallows. Let the birds have it." But it didn't sound like a fish. The rhythm was wrong. Fish move in certain ways. This was different. "I want to look," I said. My sister clicked her agreement. "I'll come with you." My mother sighed, the way mothers do when their children are about to do something potentially foolish but not dangerous enough to forbid. Don't go far. Stay in sight. We peeled away from the pod and headed toward the canal. As we got closer, the sound grew louder, more frantic, and underneath it, I could hear something else. A heartbeat, fast and irregular, stressed. The canal was narrow, maybe 30 feet wide, with concrete walls on both sides. Human houses backed up to it. Docks extended into the water. Boats tied up for the night. The water here was brackish, a mix of salt from the bay and fresh from the inland runoff. Not a place we usually went. Too confined, too human. But the sound drew me forward. I surfaced, took a breath, and sent out a focused beam of clicks into the canal. The echo that came back confused me at first. The shape was all wrong. Not fish, not dolphin, not human. Something else. Something small and dense and struggling at the surface. I swam closer, my sister beside me. We moved carefully, aware that shallow water and concrete walls could trap us if we weren't cautious. Then I saw it. Floating near the wall of the canal, barely keeping its head above water, was a dog. I'd seen dogs before, from a distance, on beaches, running along the shore, barking at us when we swam close. I knew they were land animals, knew they weren't meant to be in the water for long periods. This one was small, brown and white fur, matted and heavy with water, eyes wide with exhaustion and fear, legs still moving, still trying to swim, but the movements were weak, uncoordinated, the movements of a body at the edge of its endurance. How long had it been here? Hours? All night? I circled slowly, scanning it with my sonar. I could hear its heart. Too fast, fluttering like a caught fish. I could hear the water in its lungs, the rasp of its breathing. I could feel its terror vibrating through the water. It saw me and made a sound. Not a bark, more like a whimper, a plea. I didn't speak dog, it didn't speak dolphin. But we didn't need language. Fear sounds the same in every species, and so does the desperate hope for help. My sister surfaced beside me. What is it doing here? I don't know. Fell in, maybe. Can't get out. The walls of the canal were too high and smooth. No place for a dog to climb out, and the nearest ramp was too far away for this exhausted creature to reach. We should tell Mother, my sister said. But I couldn't leave. Something about the way the dog looked at me, the way its heartbeat echoed through my sonar, the way it reminded me of our young ones when they're tired and scared and need the pod to help them breathe. I moved closer, gently, slowly, not wanting to frighten it more. The dog flinched but didn't try to swim away. It didn't have the energy left. I nudged it carefully with my rostrum, my beak, just enough to push it away from the wall, to help it stay afloat. It was so light, so fragile, like it might sink at any moment. The dog leaned against me, trusting, or maybe just too tired to resist. I called to my sister, not in words but in the whistles and clicks that mean, I need help. She hesitated. This wasn't our problem. This wasn't even our species. Getting involved with human things, with land animals, could be dangerous. But she saw what I saw. A life fading, a heartbeat slowing, a creature that would die if we swam away. She clicked her agreement and dove back toward the pod. I stayed with the dog, circling slowly, using my body to create gentle currents that kept it from drifting into deeper water, using my clicks to monitor its heart, its breathing, the life still flickering inside it. Stay, I told it in my language. Help is coming. It couldn't understand my words, but maybe it understood my presence, because something in its eyes shifted, from pure panic to something quieter. Not hope exactly, but not quite despair either. Maybe just the relief of not being alone. Within minutes, my sister returned with the rest of the pod. My mother surfaced beside me, her experienced eyes taking in the situation immediately. "This is dangerous," she said. "We don't know what will happen if humans see us here, if they think we're attacking it." "I'm not attacking," I said. "I'm helping. They won't know the difference." She was right. Humans often misunderstood us, saw a threat where there was none, saw aggression in curiosity, saw danger in assistance. But the alternative was to leave the dog to drown, and that felt wrong in a way I couldn't explain. My mother studied the dog for a long moment. Then she sighed. "We'll help, but carefully. Form a circle. Keep it contained. Keep it floating, and we make noise. Lots of noise. Humans need to know something is wrong here." We spread out, forming a loose circle around the dog. 6 dolphins now, with one staying with the young ones in deeper water where it was safer. And we began to make sound. Not our usual clicks and whistles, but louder, sharper. The kind of sounds we make when we're excited or alarmed or trying to call attention to something. We slapped our tails against the water. We breached, partially, creating splashes. We whistled in patterns that carried through the air as well as the water. We became impossible to ignore. The dog floated in the center of our circle, its head barely above water. I stayed close, nudging it occasionally, keeping it conscious, keeping it breathing. Time moved strangely. The sun climbed higher. The water grew warmer. The dog grew weaker. I could hear its heartbeat slowing through my sonar, could feel it giving up. The survival instinct that had kept it swimming through the night was fading. "Don't stop," I told it. "Not yet." But I wasn't sure it could hear me anymore. Then, finally, I heard what I'd been hoping for. Human voices, distant at first, then growing closer. "What the hell is all that noise? Sounds like dolphins. Lots of them. What are they doing in the canal?" Footsteps on docks, voices calling to each other. The sound of humans waking up, paying attention, coming to investigate. We kept making noise, kept circling, kept drawing them closer. Then someone shouted, "There's something in the water. Is that a dog? Oh my God, how long has it been in there? Call 911. Call the fire department." The urgency in their voices told me they understood. They saw what we saw. A life in danger. A creature that needed help. More humans arrived. I could hear their vehicles, their radios, their boots on the concrete. I could hear them discussing options, making plans. We dolphins backed away slightly, giving them room to work but staying close enough to keep the dog from drifting. Then humans in uniforms appeared at the canal wall. They had equipment, ropes, a net on a long pole. They worked carefully, talking to each other in calm voices. They lowered the net into the water near the dog. The dog didn't have the strength to swim to it, so I nudged it one more time, gently, pushing it toward salvation. It took 3 tries. 3 times the net was lowered, and 3 times the dog couldn't quite reach it. But on the 4th attempt, the dog's body slid into the net. The humans pulled, slowly, carefully, lifting the dog from the water that had held it prisoner for nearly 15 hours. When the dog cleared the surface completely, I heard something I hadn't heard in hours. A stronger heartbeat. Not strong, but stronger. The fight returning now that there was something to fight for. The humans wrapped the dog in towels, checked its breathing, spoke in worried but hopeful voices. "It's alive. Barely, but alive. Looks like it's been in there all night. How did it survive?" One human looked down at us, still circling in the water below. The dolphins. They were keeping it afloat. That's why they were making all that noise. They were calling for help. There was wonder in her voice, disbelief. as if what we had done was impossible. But we didn't do anything impossible. We just recognized suffering and responded to it. Isn't that what any conscious being would do? My mother whistled the signal to leave. Our work is done. The dog is safe now. We turned as one and swam back toward the bay, toward our hunting grounds, toward our normal life that had been interrupted by a heartbeat that didn't belong. As we swam, I couldn't stop thinking about the dog, about the look in its eyes, about the way its heart had slowed, and then, at the very end, found the strength to beat a little faster. "Why did you help it?" my sister asked. I thought about how to answer. In our language, there's no direct word for compassion, but there are sounds that mean recognition of another's suffering, sounds that mean the choice to ease pain even when there's no benefit to you. "Because it was afraid," I finally said, "and alone." And I remember what that feels like. My mother, swimming ahead, turned her head back toward me. I couldn't see her expression, but I felt her approval in the pattern of her clicks. We never saw the dog again. I don't know if it lived or died. Don't know if it went back to a home or was found a new one. Don't know if it remembers the night it spent in the water or the dolphins who circled it until help came. But I remember. I remember its heartbeat. I remember the weight of its body against my side. I remember the moment when help arrived and the relief that flooded through me. The ocean remembers everything, every sound, every life, every connection made in the space between waves. And that morning, a life that almost ended in water was saved by creatures of the water, a land animal and sea animals meeting in the space between our worlds and finding common ground in the simple recognition that life matters. All life, even lives that aren't like ours. Years have passed since that day. I'm older now. My mother has passed, as all mothers eventually do. My sister has her own calves. The pod has changed and evolved as pods do. But sometimes, when we swim past that canal, I remember. I send out clicks into the water and listen for echoes of that night. They're not there anymore. Time erases everything eventually, but the memory remains, not in the water, in me. I learned something that night. I learned that the boundaries between species are thinner than we think, that the distance between us and them, between dolphin and dog, between sea and land, is not as vast as it appears. We all breathe, we all have hearts that beat, we all know fear and pain, and the desperate hope for salvation. We all want to survive. We all want to matter. And when you strip away everything else, the differences in form and habitat and language, what remains is simple. Life recognizing life. Consciousness responding to consciousness. One being seeing another being suffer and choosing to help. Not because of reward, not because of obligation, not because of anything except the recognition that in this moment, with these circumstances, I have the power to make a difference. And choosing not to use that power would diminish me in ways I cannot explain. The humans called us heroes, put our story on their news, talked about the miraculous rescue, the dolphins who saved a drowning dog. But we weren't heroes. We were just dolphins doing what dolphins do, responding to the world around us, helping when help is needed, being present with suffering instead of swimming away from it. If that makes us heroes, then every act of kindness is heroic. Every moment of presence is miraculous. Every choice to care instead of turning away is worthy of celebration. And maybe that's true. Maybe the world needs more of that kind of heroism. The quiet kind, the unglamorous kind, the kind that doesn't ask for recognition or reward, the kind that simply sees suffering and responds. My name is Echo. I am a bottlenose dolphin living in the waters of Boca Chica Bay. I read the world through sound. I navigate through echolocation. I live in a pod that is my family, my world, my everything. And once, on an October morning when the water was still and the sun was rising, I heard a heartbeat that didn't belong to the sea. And I chose not to swim away. That choice didn't change the world. It didn't solve any great problems. It didn't end suffering or prevent future tragedies. It just saved one small dog on one autumn night. One life that mattered to no one except perhaps the humans who owned it and the dolphins who kept it breathing until help arrived. But maybe that's enough. Maybe the world doesn't change through grand gestures and sweeping reforms. Maybe it changes one heartbeat at a time, one moment of compassion, one choice to help instead of turning away. The ocean teaches this if you listen. It teaches that everything is connected, that what affects one affects all, that there is no us and them, only the great web of life moving through time together. The dog lived in air. I live in water. We were never meant to meet, never meant to interact, never meant to share space or understanding, but for 15 hours one October night, our worlds overlapped. And in that overlap, something profound happened. Not miraculous, just true. Two beings, impossibly different, found common ground in the simplest truth of all, that life is precious, that suffering should be eased when possible, that sometimes the most important thing you can do is simply stay present with someone who is afraid and alone. The ocean remembers every heartbeat that once echoed in its depths, and that morning, one of them became mine. Subscribe if you believe compassion transcends species.